Man, this was a really hard video to make because I truly wanted to love the Google Pixel 10, but I don't even know what to think anymore because it's a great phone, don't get me wrong, but some of the decisions that were made and more importantly, the value of the phone based on the pricing is just so hard to comprehend. I think I changed the concept of this review like 3 times and rewrote the script multiple times, but I've settled on this opinion after using the Pixel 10 for 2 weeks, and that opinion is the Pixel 9a is much better value than the Pixel 10 if you're buying this phone outright, and that's because the Pixel 10 starts at $1099 Canadian right now, or $799 USD for you Americans, while the Pixel 9a is less than half the price in Canada at an incredible $529 Canadian, which means you can literally buy 2 of these phones for the same price as the Pixel 10, and the kicker, Google downgraded the main and ultra-wide lens of the Pixel 10 to the same hardware as the Pixel 9a. Yeah, I don't know why they did that other than saving money to add the 5x telephoto lens, which is cool, but is the Pixel 10 really worth double the price in Canada or $300 more if you're in the US? I don't know, man, but let's talk about what they changed from the Pixel 9 first in terms of upgrades. So first, looks-wise, it's actually in the same recognizable chassis with the same size screen, so you guys can actually use the same screen protectors. But obviously, the main difference is the addition of the 5x telephoto camera, which means an elongated glass portion of the camera bar to fit that lens. But overall, I do really like the hardware just like on the Pixel 9, as the matte aluminum rails look and feel awesome to hold. I love the fact that the volume rockers are positioned underneath the power button for easy reachability. The super rounded corners of the phone make it look super cute, not to mention being very comfortable on your palms when holding the phone, and it just looks absolutely amazing in the blue indigo colorway. That's a throwback to the original Pixel, which how can you not like? But if you don't like dark blue, you still get a lighter bluish color called Frost, a classic and elegant obsidian, and a very polarizing and bright lemongrass color. I also really like how Google color matched the edges and the camera bump to be the same color as the phone, and new this year on the back, we get Pixel Snap, which is basically Google's version of MagSafe, which is always a welcome feature. I mean, we had Android MagSafe cases for ages now, but it's really cool to see that Google adopted this natively because that means we get amazing first-party cases. I've always thought that Google made the absolute best Pixel cases on the market with that soft, grippy silicone finish and the way the case ramps up softly to the camera bump, so having MagSafe on this now makes me super duper happy, and their accessory that they're promoting is the Pixel Snap ring stand, and it's actually amazing. So first of all, it looks absolutely amazing and premium on the back of the phone, but having the ability to prop this phone up for video calling people or watching videos while eating your lunch or even using it as a grip is so useful, and this thing will never ever leave my case. That's enough talk about the back of the phone though, so what about the front? And I'm happy to say that the screen got a 300 nit boost for a peak brightness of 3000 nits, which is insanely bright for outdoors and just looks stunning for watching content. And thankfully this year, they also fixed the very middling speakers I've always complained about in my old Pixel reviews. It still gets equally as loud as the Pixel 9, but it just has better hardware and is tuned so much better now with a more full sound that doesn't have harsh or screechy trebles or an overly bumped up mid-range, which I'm so happy for, and can finally call it great, not mid anymore. They also improved the haptics, which is the first thing I noticed on this phone, as it really impressed me a lot, and when compared to the Pixel 9, it feels stronger and more crisp when interacting with it, which I'll talk about more how the new UI plays into that later. And last but not least, we got a good bump in battery from 4700 milliamp hours to 4970 milliamp hours for some extra battery life, which in my usage gets me a respectable, 4 to 5 hours of screen on time, depending on how much you're outside on a 5G network during the day. But I get it, some days are just so long, especially if you're a student, that you're bound to run out of battery, whether for your phone, headphones, or laptop, and trust me, I've been there as an engineering student and a content creator, which is why you need a trusty, fast, and compact charger in your bag at all times, in which a Taurus FlexLine 67-watt charger is perfect for. And yes, it has foldable prongs which are convenient for storage, but the secret is that integrated 1-meter cable that completely solves the problem of tangled wires, meaning that the charger is all you really need to bring outside, whether you're commuting on a long bus ride back to your hometown, if you need a quick emergency charge in your friend's car, needing to charge in your early morning commute because you forgot to charge your phone before bed, or needing to spend hours working at your favorite coffee shop. And again, no extra cable to fumble with, as you just pull it out of the charger and you're set. Best of all, there are actually 2 ports on the charger, meaning that you can charge both your phone and laptop together at up to 67 watts, which has been clutch for me many times these past few weeks. And when you're done with the charger, just give the cable a quick tug to retract it, in which I really appreciate the magnetic USB-C head so it doesn't just flap around. Some of you guys may also be worried about the durability of the cable too, so from what Toras has tested, it should last well over 10,000 retractions, which means at least 3 times of use per day for the next 10 years, not to mention the cable being super flexible and break resistant. But yeah, this has become the default charger I carry with me in my backpack at all times now, especially since the foldable prongs and retractable cable keep it all neat, and you should seriously consider picking one up whether you're getting a new Pixel 10 or just for your current devices, especially if you're going back to school. I'll leave my links and discount codes in the description and pinned comments below, and thank you so much channel sponsor Toras for always making these videos possible. Now, back to the review. Now, despite how good that Toras charger is, I can't help but feel disappointed about how unbelievably slow Google, Samsung, and iPhones charge compared to Chinese competition, like my favorite OnePlus 13, as it's gotten so bad to the point where I didn't hit 100% of charge for an entire week because of how annoying it was to wait for a full charge, as, you know, it can sometimes literally last 2 hours plus, even if you play around with the adaptive charging settings. I guess this is the perfect opportunity to talk about the Pixel 9a though, because funny enough, it has a bigger battery and better battery life in my opinion, with a 5100 mAh battery, and it's just slightly larger than the Pixel 10 as well. Now, remember that price difference I talked about earlier? $10.99 Canadian versus $5.29 Canadian. Well, you're not getting the upgraded speakers or better haptics or the new Pixel Snap, which again, MagSafe cases like the excellent ones from Spigen are a thing, but like, are those upgrades worth that difference? I'm just gonna quickly speed run an overview of the hardware of the Pixel 9a for you guys right now if you forgot about that phone. But in short, you're still getting that iconic Pixel device look, just with that entire camera bar bump removed, which actually looks really clean and minimal compared to the old Pixel 8a, not to mention no more wobbling on the table if you don't use a case. You're also getting the same flat edges with the matte finish, just like the back, which is silky soft to the touch, and a phone that's 18 grams lighter to carry, which does make a difference. You even get the same IP68 rating as the Pixel 10, but a downgraded Gorilla Glass 3 instead of Victus 2 on the Pixel 10. But again, screen protectors are a thing. Now, you might think that the screen will be a sacrifice as well, but nope, you're still getting a flagship display, which means a peak brightness of up to 2700 nits like the Pixel 9, which looks incredibly bright in that bright summer sun and is very usable outdoors. You even retain that same 120Hz refresh rate screen, which is buttery smooth, although you will have to manually enable that in the settings because Google sneakily turned it off by default. Haptics are still great to use as well, as Google never cheaps out on that, and the speakers aren't bad either, as they still get decently loud and sound acceptable. The only real downgrade I can think of is a lower quality Exynos 5300 modem, which is slightly problematic for me, as I could absolutely notice a lot of signal and reception loss along the highway where my other phones would usually still be able to hold a signal, and back when I had a car, it was actually quite dangerous for me not to have signal at all, and quite a big inconvenience sometimes as well. The Pixel 10 does have a slightly better Exynos 5400 modem, but honestly, it's not that much better, and I still find reception much weaker compared to my other phones with Qualcomm modems, which I really need Google to fix in their newer generations. If you do live in an urban or large city though, you should be fine, and these aren't really deal breakers at all. Also, just a side note before we start the second half of the review, if you guys are enjoying this video so far and want to help this young man right here reach his dreams of being a big tech YouTuber, a like and a subscribe would mean so much to me, and every single one of them helps, so thank you so much in advance. And now, let's finally circle back to the beginning of the video where I said that Google downgraded the Pixel 10 camera sensors from the excellent Pixel 9 that shared the same main and ultra-wide as the Pro phones to now the same ones as the Pixel 9a. I mean, sure, I get that software can make up a lot of differences, but you just can't beat physics where a larger sensor makes all the difference, and to prove my point, I actually took my Pixel 9 and 10 outside to do a little photo comparison, so let's analyze our findings, shall we? Taking a look at our first daylight photo of these buildings, I don't know how well this translates on YouTube, but you're getting more details in the brick and foliage when you zoom in. That's thanks to the more detailed main sensor that lets in more light and also better pixel binning. And to blow your minds, I took a 5x zoom photo of the new telephoto lens on the Pixel 10 and used digital 5x zoom on the Pixel 9, and holy moly, there's not that much of a difference crazily. Although I'll admit, the Pixel 10 can go up to 20x digital zoom, where the 9 can only go up to 8x, and when you test that side by side, there is a little bit of a difference. Moving on though, note, with the 2x portrait mode, you can definitely see more detail on the Pixel 9 photo, and switching over to the ultra wide, what an absolutely massive difference zooming into that car on the side. Selfies are pretty much identical though because they share the same sensor, and lastly, for one night mode comparison, it's definitely a much cleaner image on the Pixel 9 unsurprisingly, although it's not as big of a difference as I would have thought. I mean, I'm being a little bit dramatic over here, and these are all pixel peeping that no regular consumers will ever do, in which despite the lower quality sensors, I still love the images that come out of the Pixel 10 and would take them over the similarly priced Galaxy S25 thanks to Google's fantastic processing, which also means that the images will pretty much be identical to the Pixel 9a because it's the same hardware. You're still gonna get beautiful, natural looking and punchy photos that we've all come to love from Google, and that processing ensures that every part of the image is evenly exposed, so you'll have details in the shadows and the bright highlights for a pleasing look, and honestly had no problems using this as my daily camera over the course of the weeks I use this as my daily driver over some of the more expensive phones that I have. I can't lie though, that 5x telephoto is pretty sweet though, which will definitely be a big difference from the Pixel 9a, but again, is that price worth it? And last but not least is the performance, where the Tensor G5 is honestly not much of an upgrade from the Tensor G4 on the Pixel 9 series, including the Pixel 9a, which got in a lot of controversy as there are a lot of mad tech fans out there pulling out bad benchmarking scores, and while yes, they do have a point, Pixel UI is really fluid and the Tensor chip still holds up enough that day-to-day usage is wicked fast and smooth. I will say that if you are a gamer, you will actually notice a bit of a performance drop compared to other phones, in which I would suggest you get the S25 instead, or even look into the OnePlus 13R if you're on a budget, which I'll actually talk more about at the end. Also, I will have to mention that I actually am experiencing a little bit of overheating and sluggishness, which I didn't really experience on the Pixel 9 series, especially when I'm on like long video calls that actually really drain the battery life, or using the phone on like a hot summer day on a 5G network outdoors all day. It's not just me who's faced this issue on the Pixel 10, so it's a little bit concerning honestly, and part of me thinks that it's the new Material 3 expressive UI changes Google introduced to this phone, although that's just purely an uneducated guess with no evidence. But yeah, I don't know, that's just largely due to the slower and more fluid animations, which honestly feel and look amazing across the UI, but might be bogging the system down. I do overall like the new design language though, as there are some neat elements like the notifications being more compact so you can see more at a glance, not to mention it being easy to swipe and expand, and that notification history button being really easy to toggle is also nice. I have to also mention that the single best touching interaction of the UI is actually swiping a notification away, which looks so satisfying and feels amazing with that ping of the haptics, just like holding the power button to activate Gemini, in which they definitely did a throwback to that old Pixel squeeze function with those protruding black bars. I also do like the new quick access Gemini widget, which is useful, not to mention the new Google bar with the AI search mode, which I actually use like half the time now as it scours through all the websites to give me exactly what I need. There's also no more background for the home bar in some apps, which looks a lot better. We get a new look for the settings menu, which I still need to get used to. And lastly, my one complaint is the weird stopwatch redesign in the clock app with those massive buttons that you need to scroll down for. But man, this video is getting way too long now, so I should wrap it up. But yeah, I hope you guys can see of all the points where I'm getting at with the value proposition between the Pixel 9a and the Pixel 10. Obviously, carrier deals play a big role in this, as it might actually be cheaper to sign up for the Pixel 10 with a plan, not to mention it being cheaper than the S25 series for some carriers, but it's just also dependent on where you are and where you live and what deals you have, so I can't really make that decision for you guys, and I hope I gave you guys enough insights to choose between the two. I also have to mention that the OnePlus 13R, even though it does have weaker cameras, is actually such a phenomenal deal and a sleeper hit for that price range, in which you should watch my review on it over here first. And might I mention, in Canada, the OnePlus 13 is actually $50 cheaper than the Pixel 10 and better in nearly every single way, including the cameras. But again, you'll have to buy that unlocked, which not many people are willing to do, which is why I didn't dive deep into it. But I do have a long-term review coming out soon, and it's my favorite phone of the year. But yeah, that's it for the video, and if you guys have any questions, make sure to leave them down below for me. And if you're still here as well, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video despite me sounding a little sick because I was like dead for the past few days. But yeah, also make sure to leave a sunglasses emoji down below so I know you're a real one. I know you're a real one. And as always, make sure to smash that like and subscribe button, and also check out the other awesome content on my channel, and also stay tuned for all the other Pixel 10 content coming out, including vlogs and reviews on the pros. And on that note, have a great one, and I'll see you guys in the next one. And I can't talk anymore. Oh my god, my throat is cooked. Oh.